We have the word Kim, and that's the word they use for black, be it the people, be it the country as a whole, be it the cows. Yes, as I said, we started off, they don't have a word for brown, but guess what? They have a word for white, and they didn't use it for themselves. The word for white is hedge, H-D-J or H-E-D-J. The word for white is hedge. Now, sometimes, and there are some scholars that will say they also use the word tamhu. So let me see. Let me give you that word. Hedge and tamhu. So they got the word hedge. They got the word tamu. They could have used hedge if they thought, if they looked, because they didn't have a problem with eyesight. If they looked at their skin and felt like it was white, it was light enough to be called hedge, they would have called themselves the hedgy or the hedju or the hedget. They didn't do that. They didn't call themselves hedge, hedget, hedgemet. No, they called themselves Kemet. Yes, some of these modern Eurocentric or Eurocentric trained, Arab-centric or Arab-centric trained scholars insist on splitting Egyptians into brown, tan, light-skinned categories. And then they insist that it was the light ones, the light-skinned ones, were the majority of the population, were the dominant ones of the culture, were the only ones to rule, except those in the 25th dynasty, and they hated to admit that one, rather than the exception, rather than the rarity. And they like to pretend that these divisions matter to the people themselves. That ain't scholarship. I don't care if the professor before you, like mine, the professor who was trying to indoctrinate me into this BS was a PhD historian. I don't care if they got 2 PhDs, 3 PhDs. If they lying, they lying. That's not scholarship. That's obfuscation. That's professional obfuscation, plain and simple. The truth is this. The Kemetic people, the ancient Egyptians, understood themselves as Kim. They understood that this was a shared identity across the spectrum of darker hues long before the modern colonial value system of racial categories ever existed. Long before the value system of white supremacy, which assigned positive and negatives to the hues, ever existed.
Shabazz, break it down with the proper perspective. So much controversy and a lot of deception. You don't know who's coming through with the light and reflection, and whose mouth is mumbling, trick knowledge deceptive. Shabazz, break it down with the proper perspective. So